Wow, donuts, awesome. Ow, that hurt. I just want a donut.
Well,
Ow.
Go do your little golf show.
Golly, I just want a donut. Jeez, great, I don't get donuts. Everybody else gets donuts, I don't get donuts. Yeah, go do your show. Yeah, I see you. 3, 2, 1, yeah. Hey, it's the Golf Kingdom. Welcome to the Golf Kingdom. I'm your host, Rob Strano. It's a great show. No one gets donuts except the crew, but we're gonna do a golf show here. Let's bring in this great show. It's obviously, they're slapping my hands. It's gonna be about hands tonight on the Golf Kingdom. We're off the bat. I'm gonna teach you how to build a flat left wrist. Then we're gonna follow Keep It Simple Strano. I got something simple for your game to help you improve. As always, something cool in our pop culture segment. We're gonna go on course and we're gonna do some strategy and then another build-up segment at the bottom. As always, we're gonna tie it up with Time to Rise. It's the hand segment and my hands hurt because I don't get donuts, you don't get donuts. But you know what? Are you ready? Because it's time to build here in the Golf Kingdom.
Welcome to the #1 golf variety show in the world, the Golf Kingdom. Are you ready to build your game? Here's your host, Rob Strano.
Well, it's our hands episode, and we're going to always start off with a build it segment. So let's get to building a better understanding of the backswing. And we've got our hack motion technology on that's going to measure my wrist angle. We're going to talk about this wrist angle and how sensitive do you have to be at the top to get this really to be a flat lead wrist at the top of the backswing. I'm going to give you some terminology to start with so we understand what we're talking about. So at the top of the backswing, if this is perfectly flat, it's a flat lead wrist, okay? If I go like that, that's a bowed lead wrist. This is what you see Dustin Johnson and Jordan Spieth do. If I come this way, that would be cupped. So cupping it opens the face. Let's put a club in my hand here, okay? So cupping it opens the face, bowing it flattens the face or strengthens it. So we're talking about at the top of the backswing, I want the back of the hand and the face to look very much the same when you reach the top of your backswing. This puts you in a neutral spot. I don't want to be cupped because then it's open and you got to figure out how to take that out at the bottom. And if it's strong, man, I better turn through good. Otherwise, that's going to be quick hooks. I've got a couple drills that I'm going to share with you at the end. But first off, I want to show you the hack motion technology and how it works to measure this. So let's go to the big screen here. So on the big screen, here's the sensor reading my wrist numbers. Now I'm not going to get any numbers down here because those would only come up if I took a swing. So here's my lead wrist right here. We're looking at this number right there. So I'm going to not look at the numbers. I'm going to look at my wrist. I'm going to try to get to as close to what I perceive as flat as it is. Then I'm going to look at the number. You're kind of seeing it already. You know the sneak peek without me. I think that's 0. Let me look. Man, it's -6. So what I feel is 0 is -6. Let me try to get to 0 here. There we go. I saw 0. Wow, that feels like I'm doing this. So to get to 0, actual 0, I've got to feel a little bit of a bow in the wrist. So now let me show you. Here's what the maximum I can cup my wrist looks like. I can cup it a maximum of 55, and I can bow it as hard as I can, 34. So 55 and 34 is 89 degrees of difference here between the two. But when I go back, I want to get as close to 0 as I can. The error we see most players get to is they get that cupped value right there. Now the question is, you're asking me is, okay, Rob, you've got this great hack motion technology on that tells you that. And if I was swinging a club, it would tell me that and all the data I'd get, and I'd be able to know what did I do when I swung a club. But if you don't have the hack motion technology, which I would encourage you to get because it's really cool and it's fun, and you can use it for everything. We've done short game with it, full swing. But if you don't have this, what are you going to use? Well, first thing you're going to do is you're going to take it off my hand, which it's really easy to get off. I'm going to grab a piece of tape. So coming back to the tight view, I'm going to grab a piece of gaff tape here in studio. Now, gaff tape, it's as sticky as duct tape, but doesn't leave a residue, and it's matte. I'm going to put the tape on my hand here. So I've got my wrist flat. I put the tape on there, okay? So now I set up, and I know if I get to the top of my backswing, I should feel that tape pulling on the hairs on my arm. So tape on there, I go back, I get it flat. I feel it pulling on the hairs of my arm. So get some simple tape. Use masking tape, don't use duct tape. But when you set up, you can see it'll cup it set up a little bit. It won't be straight, but when I go back at the top, I want to feel it flattening and pulling. Simple way for you to do this. Use some tape to get it on there. You could also put your watch on upside down, and when you do it right, you'll feel the watch face up against the bottom of your hand. So this has been a great Build It segment in helping you get rid of the cup in your hand at the top. So do this, and you'll hit better golf shots at the course, and we'll see what this feels like. Oh, man, rip it off fast. Don't take it off slow. Oh, man. And you'll build a better swing. Golf can be a complicated game, but in the Keep It Simple Strano Kiss segment, we make it easy for you. I pick something very simple to talk about that's guaranteed to help your game. And I listen to my players. I listen to the questions they ask me, and I go, gosh, I'm surprised you don't know that. And one I get a lot, especially down in the southern part of the country when I'm down there, is people are always asking me, Rob, explain grain on the green and how it affects the ball. Let's take grain and explain it right away. And I've got an image I'm going to show you to help you see grain and the easiest way to see grain. So let's come over to the 60-inch monitor here. We're going to bring up a picture of a cup. And when you look at the picture, you can see there's a worn edge to the cup. So this is a clean edge, and this edge is worn. You can see it's frayed all the way around here and then clean. That shows you the direction the grain is growing. The grain is growing that way. It's growing towards the worn edge. And if you think about grain, think about the teeth of a comb. If this is a comb, okay, and you're putting this way towards the grain, imagine the teeth of the comb laying towards you. The grass is growing towards you. That's going to slow the ball up. Going down grain, putting that way, putting with the teeth of the comb, the ball's going to go down way faster on the green than it did coming back into the grain. And of course, cross grain, there's more break as you go across it and less break as it's going this way into the putt that curves like that. So grain, it's easy to see. And in the It's Just Hot Air segment, I'm going to talk more about grain and how the grass grows. But the first thing you got to know how to do is identify it. Where's the grain going? You can also take your club and rub it on the grass, and the grass will stand up. So grain, it's an easy thing to understand. It's an easy thing to see if you know what you're looking for. Well, it's our hands episode, and I got the big hand. I got the foam finger here, the number one. So my question for you is, does your golf game sometimes give you the finger? You know what? If that's the case, I've got a finger drill that'll help you and help train your hands to do the right thing in the backswing. So the hand show, it's our pop culture segment, and we're talking about the finger, the giant number one finger, and this is going to be your number one drill you're going to use to help your backswing. So I'm going to get rid of this. It's kind of tough to grip the golf club with that. I might be able to make it work, but let's get rid of that and grab a golf club and get into this drill that'll help you know where you're going in the backswing. Now, what players don't understand is as they go back, when you set the club here, my hands don't travel very far, but look how far the club head goes. It goes a long way. Well, my hands aren't going very far. My hands are moving about that far, and the club goes a long way, and that's where you lose track of it. And that's where giving the club the finger is going to help you know exactly where it's going. So players, when they get to right here, we're pretty good, and then from here, the club will go that way, or some players actually stand it up this straight to, too vertical to the sky. I don't see this one very often. I see more players winging it behind them here. So I want you to be able to know where this is going. Now, let me explain something here. This is a backswing only drill. You do not hit golf balls doing this. It's just to get a feel for where the club's going back. So if you go back and you're watching your video and the club's getting off plane or out of position back in here where your left arm or your lead arm is parallel to the ground and it's out of position, I'm going to show you the perfect way to do it. So let's bring a golf ball in here. Let's get to the finger drill. We're going to give the club the finger and get it in the right spot. What you do is you set up, take your normal grip, and then your trail hand, in my case, I'm right-handed, it's my right hand, I point this finger right down the shaft, right there. So it's pointed down the shaft. I take my normal setup, and when I go back, I want to feel like I'm going to point that finger a little to the sky and a little behind me. I don't want it to get pointed there. I don't want it to get pointed over here. So all I'm thinking about is I'm not thinking about the club. I'm thinking about going back and taking my finger and pointing it right there. If I do that, if I have a line that comes out of the bottom of the club that matches the shaft, it'll point out here towards my target line. If I do it wrong, it points over there. If I do it wrong, you can see I point it too straight up and down, it points towards my feet. So The finger drill. Take your trail hand finger, point it down the shaft, and halfway back, feel like it's pointed up and a little behind you. This will give you a reference point for where the shaft is pointed in that zone where you lose track of it. It's a simple drill, and remember my warning, we don't hit balls doing this because if you hit a ball and jam it into the ground, you sprain your finger. So point it down, point it in the right spot, and you'll get this club in a great place going back. Now stay tuned for more great stuff here in the Golf Kingdom.
You want a golf tip that will really make this game easier? Okay, here's mine. The fastest way to get good is by finding a great coach. And the fastest way to find that person is through golfchannelacademy.com. It'll match you up with the best coaches in your area.
And now you can even schedule a new student assessment.
So, what are you waiting for?
Schedule a training session with your local coach, Rob Strano from Strano Golf Academy in Destin, Florida at stranogolf.com.
Well, it's on course time again, and we're going to go a little short game to help you get the ball up and down more in your Golf Kingdom. And we're going to talk about something that I hear periodically about players choosing clubs around the green. And it's, I love this club, and I only use this club. We're going to talk about that here. I've got a long little chip shot. It's downhill, but I'm pretty far away. I'm probably 75, 80 feet away. I'm in a little light grass, and I've got my high toe 58-degree TaylorMade wedge here, and players are telling me, I love my 58. I love my 56. I use it everywhere. Well, I'm going to hit a 58 down there. In order to hit a 58 down there, I've got to take a pretty big swing. I got to try to keep the loft off of it, and I've got to try to fly it pretty far down there. So here we go. I'm going to give myself a decent lie, not a great lie, but a decent one. So 58-degree, decent lie. I got to fly it down there. Oh, sit. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. It came out really clean. Stop. That just rolled over the green. That shot required a big swing, a lot of energy, and a lot of effort. And it wasn't necessarily the easiest thing I could do. Let's talk easy here. Second club selection, I've got 8-iron. If I look at this and say, you know what? I can bump an 8-iron a couple feet on the green and let it roll down to the hole. That sounds pretty easy. It's not a big swing. It's a little swing. And I'm not bringing any risk into this. I like to tell players, look a strong club length on the green. So a club length on the green, look here and try to land it there. We take the fringe out of play and we can get it rolling down to the hole. So it'll look like this. I'm looking a strong club length on the green. 8-iron, I'm going to bump it down there. Nice and easy. We're going down the hill. I'm going to let it roll. That was pretty easy. It didn't require a lot of effort. And look out. Look out. Oh, it just missed on the left side of the hole. Rolled by about 4 feet. Do the easiest thing that requires the least amount of effort. Use all the clubs in your bag. Get versatile, and you'll get more shots up and down, and stop knocking them over the green. Welcome back from the golf course. I took you out in the golf course to help you with the game. Now it's time for Stranogy. And you know what? With Stranogy, we're talking on-course strategy. And the important thing to understand is without a plan, there is no attack. Without attack, there is no victory. So I've got some great stuff today to help you understand a little different strategy to help you improve. And we're going to talk about the hang-around theory. Now, the hang-around theory is something I did as a tour player. And it's something that Chuck Daly, the coach of the Detroit Pistons, used with his team when they were winning NBA championships. And the theory goes like this. If you hang around long enough, something good will happen. But I want to give you a quick thought on a little math that'll help you. So when you're playing golf, if you make a bogey, that's 1 over par. That's a +1, okay? Get the marker to write good for me. +1. So it only takes 1 birdie to offset that bogey. But if you make a triple, that's +3. You've got to make 3 birdies to offset that triple. So course management-wise, what you want to realize is it's okay to make a bogey because it just takes 1 birdie to come back from that. And you'll see that when I go through hang-around theory in a second. Triples and doubles, 2 over, 3 over, 4 over. Boy, it takes a lot of birdies to make up for those errors. Now, let me give you an example of the hang-around theory. I've got a couple of scorecards I'm going to show you. Let's bring them up on the big monitor here. So here we've got 18 holes. This is at Shenandoah Valley Golf Club in Virginia. This is a scorecard from when I was qualifying for a PGA Tour event that happened to be the old Kemper Open. It's now Tiger's tournament on the PGA Tour. But as you can see on the first 9 holes, I made a bunch of pars, the white being pars, par, 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 par. Oh, I threw a birdie in there on the 6th hole, par, 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 par. I remember on number 9, I hit it right in front of the green and messed it up and made par. But then I made a bogey here, so I'm even par. But here's where the hang-around theory comes in. If we hang around long enough, something good's going to happen. And look how I finished. Birdie, par, par, birdie, birdie, par, birdie. And you know what the result was? Show them on the screen. I qualified for my first PGA Tour event. I played in the old Kemper Open on the PGA Tour. A couple years later, I'm qualifying on the Nike Tour. Let me bring that scorecard up. You're going to see the same thing. Early birdie, except I offset it with a bogey, made another birdie. Look at all the white squares in here. Lots of pars, hanging around, not making mistakes, just making pars. Par, what's the definition of par? It's a value of 0. Zeros don't hurt. Triples, threes, those hurt. Par, 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 par. Look at the finish. Hang around long enough, something good's going to happen. Birdie, par, birdie, birdie. Finished third once again. Got in a tour event. So hang around theory. As a player, think about it. If you hang around long enough, something good will happen. And this has been Stranogy. We're giving you great things to help your game as you try to figure out how to make scores happen on the golf course. Let's talk about the myths and misconceptions of golf in our It's Just Hot Air segment, brought to you by my friends at Executive Air. Now, myths and misconceptions are the things you kind of hear or your buddies tell you in golf that just aren't 100% true. And earlier in the KISS segment, I talked about grain and how to read grain. And one thing you'll hear about grain is the grain always grows towards the setting sun, or this putt always breaks towards the water because that's where the grain's going. That's not necessarily true. And let me explain why it's not true. Let me show you a couple images. Image number 1 is the old way they did golf courses is there it was, they put a stick in the ground, they hit it up that way, and where the green was, they said we're going to put a green here, put a stick in the ground, and that's where the green was. It matched the natural lay of the ground. But this is not the 1920s, this is the year 2020. And we use this now to build golf courses. Yeah, a bulldozer. We push the ground around. So the guys that build a golf course with a bulldozer can take the ground and they can tip it away from water. They can tip it any way they want. The old adage of it breaks towards the water, or it breaks towards Indio and Palm Springs, or in Phoenix it breaks towards the valley. I can take an earth mover and I can change that and make it tip a different way. Keep this in mind. A golf green, if we're talking about reading a green, is designed to repel water. Standing water on a green will kill the green. When they get in there with the earth movers, they can make it tip any way they want to get the water off it. And most modern greens have 3 places where the water slopes off the green. Now your grain will grow towards where the water is draining most of the time. Keep that in mind. That's a fact. That's not a myth, and that's not a misconception. Any grain you've got will go that way. So keep in mind, those old adages don't hold true. The grain will grow where the water runs, not where there's a body of water, because I can tip it away from that. This has been another myth and misconception of golf in the It's Just Hotter segment, brought to you by my friends at Executive Air. See them for all your needs, whether it's heating, cooling. They're the people to call. Do you struggle with your hands being too active when you putt? Well, Fusion Dynaline Training Aid is what you need to putt better. It clamps on your putter, you drop your alignment stick in the training aid, you put the training trident on the top of it, and then it touches your body and locks your stroke in place. It's impossible to wiggle your hands. Get Fusion Dynaline to control your stroke. Visit fusionputting.com, place your order, and get free shipping today. Alexa, open Golf Kingdom.
Welcome to Golf Kingdom. Here's your golf tip of the day.
Welcome to the Golf Kingdom. I am your host, Rob Strano, and here is today's Pro Pointer.
Alexa, stop. If you want more pro pointers from me via your Amazon-enabled skill at the Golf Kingdom, be sure to go there and enable it. every day I give you a new tip free with your Amazon-enabled device. So enable the Golf Kingdom and you'll get a tip from me, your host, Rob Strano, every day. It's a stick-up. If you're a fan of country westerns, you know, hands up, it's a stick-up when the banditos show up. So it's our hand show. I'm gonna help you with your hands and putting and understand what they should do. So let me reveal myself here and get rid of the bandit in me. Okay, so hands and putting. I see a couple of errors by players in that the hands sag and they get in the wrong spots. I'm gonna explain why the hands have to be up in putting and explain why that's really important to help you. Now I've got an image to help you see first. Let's come to the big screen here and check this image out of the hand. What you see is this thing right here is called the carpal tunnel. It's where all the nerves and ligaments go into the hand that give you range of motion. So when we putt, if you watch me, let me explain this. If I hold the putter and just point it straight out and have my wrist in a neutral position here, I've got full range of motion in the wrist. I can make a gigantic circle with the club. If I take this and I drop my hand, instead of being here, I drop my hand this way. And then I bow it forward a little bit. It's doing two things. It's pinching that carpal tunnel. It's squeezing it, and it's limiting the range of motion in my hand. So when I go from here and I drop the putter underneath my hand like that, I can only make half a circle. So now I've limited the range of motion in the joint. That's key because I want a quiet lead hand. I don't want this thing flipping around. So at setup, I want the hand to be down and then bowed forward. So thumb feels like it'll be pointing more to the ground and then bowed forward. The other thing that'll do is that'll help the putter stand up and get sold perfectly. So instead of sitting on its heel like this, it'll sit flat. So as the hand does that, the putter then will stand up and it'll sit flat. Video your putter behind it. Put the video camera down, see if it's sitting like that. If we get it sitting up, you can do it by simply getting your hand in that position. It tightens the carpal tunnel and limits the range of motion in the wrist. So your stroke won't be so flippy. This is a super simple way to get your hands right in putting. It's time for another Build It segment, and we're going to talk about the front side of the swing, especially the term extension, because players struggle to get extension coming through and get especially the lead arm staying straight as long as they can to control the face. We see movements like this, and we see movements like that coming through, and we kind of give it a name in golf. We call it the chicken wing. Well, we don't want to be the funky chicken in golf. Oh, really? The chicken? No. No rubber chickens in the chicken wing segment. We're not going to have the chicken there. We're going to talk to you about how do you stop from chicken winging it coming through. Now, there's a simple reason why it happens, and it's just got to do with your range of motion. Let me demonstrate. So if I get set up and I swing down to impact, and I'm not turning my hips, turning my chest, or moving my trail foot. I'm not clearing is the word we use in instruction. If I'm not clearing, my arms can't keep going. I don't have range of motion to do that. So as I come through, I want that extension, and the only way to do it is to keep the body moving. The club's going to get to the ball, and it's going to get to the finish up here. And if I don't move, here's all the farther I can move. I'm going to keep my belt buckle pointed right at you. I'm not going to move the trail foot. That's all the farther I can extend. But I'm going to the finish. So to keep moving, I've got to do this action right here. There's your classic chicken wing move if I don't move. If I keep turning, I get extension. See that? My hips are turning and my chest is turning, and I can keep extension. So if you're a chicken winger out there, you want to keep moving as you go through. Let the trail foot move. Let your hips turn. Let your chest turn, and you can keep extended. The only time you want chicken wings is when you go to get them at the store. So at impact, you don't want the chicken wing like this. You want to get that arm straight, just like that. So don't be a chicken winger. Get through and get the arm straight. That way you can only enjoy chicken wings when you go to eat them. There's no enjoying a chicken wing at the golf course.
How bad do you want timed rise, Rob? How bad do you want it? You said 300. Now give me 5 more.
Okay, I got it.
295. 296. 297. Come on, boy. Dig deep. 298. 298. 298.
Really? Really?
One more. 300. All right.
Okay.
Now go get this. It's time to rise.
Okay.
You're a little shiny. Need some powder.
I got it.
Okay. Okay. Time to rise. Okay. Daredevil, give me the 60-inch. It's time to rise. It's about passion. It's about how bad do you want it. I obviously wanted it bad enough to do 300 push-ups before I did time to rise. And that's what you got to do when you go to practice. You've got to want it bad enough to work hard. When I was a kid, I practiced all day, every day. It'd be hot. It'd be July. It'd be 100 degrees, and I'd be out there playing 36 holes all day. I tell a story to my players about my home course where the 13th green and the 14th hole, the tee box, went right back to the pool by the clubhouse. And I'd get up on the 13th hole, I'd play 13, and it might have been my second time around during that day. It was 100 degrees, it was July, I was sweating hot, and I'd walk off the 13th green, look down at the 14th tee, and over into the pool, and I'd see all my buddies and all the girls in the pool playing, and I'd look at it and go, gosh, that water looks so nice. And I'd peg it up, and I'd play 14 and keep going. And that's why I went on to be a professional golfer, because I had passion and desire to keep going when no one else would. So whether it's in life or in golf, you got to have passion, you have desire, you got to want it, you got to go get it. So I wanted it bad enough to be powdered up and ready to go again after doing all those push-ups. So time to rise, passion, go get it, do what other people won't do, and you'll go places other people won't go. It was our hand show, and if you like jazz hands, I gave you some specific stuff for golf hands here in the Golf Kingdom. Now remember, go follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We've got our YouTube channel with all the shows there. Specifically, follow us and add the channels on Roku and on Amazon Fire. You can find all the episodes of the Golf Kingdom if you go add the channel on Roku and Amazon Fire. And if you have an Alexa-enabled device, go there and say, Alexa, enable the Golf Kingdom skill, and you'll get a tip from me, your host, Rob Strano, every day on your Alexa-enabled device. Thank you for joining us again on another fun-packed, hand-specific episode of the Golf Kingdom.